We don't need to go into the forest to understand this tree. It already carries the record. Every scar, every hollow, every uneven branch. These are not design choices frozen in time. They're responses to stress, to restraint, to years of negotiation with biology. A bonsai doesn't explain itself. But if you know how to look, it tells you exactly what has happened. This episode isn't about judging design, and it's not about teaching techniques. It's about reading evidence. In bonsai, biology doesn't disappear. It compresses into a pot, into a trunk, into a few square inches of living tissue. By observing structure, scars, and growth patterns, we can see which decisions created stability, and which ones quietly accumulated cost over time. That's what we're doing here, learning how endurance leaves a signature. As you watch, don't look for beauty first. Look for patterns. Ask what had to happen for this tree to still be here, alive, coherent, and functional. Because endurance doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself over time. And that's where the real story begins. Most conversations about bonsai begin at eye level. Branches, silhouettes, balance. But endurance doesn't start there. It begins below the line most photographs crop out. At the base, where roots, trunk, and soil negotiate space. This is where stability is decided long before it's visible. A tree can look refined above the pot, and still be compromised beneath it. Nibari isn't just aesthetic. It's evidence. A wide, stable root base distributes load, manages water flow, and buffers stress over time. When roots are constricted, uneven, or forced upward, the tree compensates, sometimes successfully, sometimes quietly at a cost that accumulates year after year. What we're seeing here is not style, it's capacity. Some structural decisions create what we might call structural debt. They work in the short term. They photograph well. They even win praise. But over time, that debt has to be paid through reduced vigor, limited recovery, or increased sensitivity to stress. Biology doesn't reject these decisions immediately. It absorbs them, and then it responds, slowly. This is why structure matters more than it appears. It sets the margin for everything that follows. Design, recovery, even longevity. Endurance isn't added later. It's built early, often invisibly. And once those limits are set, time doesn't negotiate with them. It simply reveals them. Through growth, through stress, through years that cannot be rushed. Design is not the problem. Time is. Many bonsai designs work beautifully at first. They balance mass. They guide the eye. They resolve tension in a single frame. But time does not experience bonsai as an image. It experiences it as a system. Day after day, season after season. What looks resolved in a photograph may still be unresolved biologically. Every design compresses biology. Branches are shortened. Roots are confined. Deadwood is carved beside living tissue. Most of the time, the tree adapts. But adaptation is not free. Energy must be rerouted. Recovery becomes selective. Margins shrink. The more a design relies on constant intervention, the less room the tree has to respond on its own. Design rarely fails all at once. It fails gradually. Vigor shifts. Recovery slows. Certain areas need correction. Again and again. Nothing looks wrong at first. The tree is still alive. Still presentable. But time records the pattern. And eventually, the cost becomes visible. This is the tension at the heart of bonsai. Design gives form. Time demands function. The designs that endure are not the ones that push the hardest, but the ones that leave room for recovery, for adjustment, for the tree to participate. And this is where patterns begin to separate. What survives from what slowly disappears. When you observe enough bonsai over time, patterns begin to repeat. Not just in successful trees, but in failing ones as well. Different species, different styles, different hands. Yet the same signs appear, often quietly, often ignored, until time makes them impossible to miss. Trees that endure tend to share certain traits. Their vigor is evenly distributed. Recovery is predictable. Corrections are infrequent and usually minor. Nothing feels urgent. These bonsai don't demand constant attention. They allow it. Their structure absorbs stress instead of amplifying it. Failure follows patterns too. Repeated dieback in the same areas. Chronic imbalance of vigor. Designs that require constant correction just to remain presentable. These trees are not failing dramatically. They're failing quietly. They survive, but only through intervention. Over time, that dependency becomes visible. These patterns aren't about talent or effort. They're about alignment. When structure, design, and biology pull in the same direction, endurance emerges naturally. When they don't, time doesn't intervene. It filters, and what remains is rarely the most dramatic tree, but the one that never needed to shout. After enough time, the difference becomes clear, not between good and bad design, but between what adapts and what depends. The bonsai that endure rarely announce themselves. They don't demand constant correction. They don't rely on urgency. They remain quietly functional, season after season. Endurance is not a style. It's a consequence. It emerges when decisions leave room for recovery, for change, for the tree to participate. What endures is rarely impressive at first glance, but it doesn't disappear, and over time, that quiet persistence becomes the strongest statement of all. If this episode changed how you look at bonsai, stay with the series. In the next episode, we'll look beyond individual trees and into the limits set by species themselves. Why some trees endure naturally and others struggle no matter the design. Because in the end, time doesn't reward intention, it rewards alignment.